Coming to you from the HagmannReport.com studio, located in the Keystone State, birthplace of a mighty nation, it's your host, Doug Hagmann.
Well, my friends, I'm afraid to tell you that there is no return. There is no coming back from what is about to happen. You're listening to the Hagmann Report. This is a special news brief for you in addition to the regular program. Doing this earlier in the afternoon on Wednesday, November 4, 2020, after the day after the election. Americans went to bed with incumbent President Donald Trump outperforming all across the country, outperforming all of the states, essentially all across the country, outperforming them, and with a lead in numerous states. I watched him. I watched from roughly 7 o'clock Eastern time, right through now. He came on about 2:30, 2:35 in the morning, and he said he felt confident about a win. Of course, ahead of the narrative was Biden. He came out earlier in the evening and essentially declared victory. Now we are awaiting for a 5 p.m. so-called victory speech by Biden. What happened during the night is unconscionable. The rules are gone. Folks, you've got to understand what happened, what is happening now, the theft that is occurring, the chicanery that is occurring, the fact that no one is playing by the rules. One example. Milwaukee area, Wisconsin, suddenly, please understand this, suddenly, let me make sure I've got this correct. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the middle of the night, 138,000 ballots, 138,000 vote dump at 4:30 local time this morning. In Milwaukee area, Wisconsin. Okay, think about this, 138,000 vote count. Of that 138,000, 3,000 went to President Trump. The chance of that happening is without intervention is almost non-existent. Well, it isn't. It defies any kind of statistical explanation. The same thing is happening in Pennsylvania. And this, by the way, after Arizona said, we're going to stop counting. We're going to stop counting for the night, as did all the states then, which gave them the opportunity to assess what they needed because Donald Trump was winning. There's a very simple path to victory for President Trump. He needs two of the four following states, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada, Michigan. Isn't it funny that it's the same thing by the way, a very similar thing happened in Michigan with respect to votes. Pennsylvania, he was up 725,000 votes in Pennsylvania. Philadelphia stopped counting, of course. They said, we're going to stop counting until the morning. Suddenly, at 4:30, they find a whole boatload of absentee ballots. They're laughing at us. And suddenly, that 700 and some odd thousand lead dwindles and dwindles and dwindles because they're looking at other counties. Allegheny, how many do we need to cover the Allegheny? How many do we need to cover this county or that county? This is what's going on all across the nation. We are now thanks to the Democrats, to the rhinos, and by the way, to the Christians who opted out of voting and who are just saying, I'll pray about it. It's because of you that we are in this position. It is because it is right on your lap that we are in this position. And I'm going to tell you right now, there is no coming back from where we're at right now. Meanwhile, we have mobs in Washington, D.C., threatening to kill police officers, threatening to burn down the White House, threatening to burn down businesses. You better believe them when they tell you that's what they're going to do, or that's their intent. And you may say, well, no, look, this is happening all across the country. Just to give you an idea, just very quickly, okay? And then I'm going to bring Dr. Richard Proctor on, just very quickly. The total number of registered voters in Pennsylvania is 9,091,371. No, total of registered voters. The voters, those who voted, 5,256,260, or 64%. Biden would have to win 100% of the 36% still out, by the way, in Pennsylvania. 64% of that number is still, or 64% roughly is still out, and that's largely in southeast Pennsylvania. Biden would have to win 100% of the 36% that's still out in order to win Pennsylvania. Why in the hell did they stop counting? Why in the hell did all of a sudden did they start recounting at 4:30 in the morning with no overseers present? Because they're stealing it from us. Nancy Pelosi told you what they were going to do. No one took them literally. Biden said, voter fraud organization. No one took them literally. Take these people literally. We have to get out there. We have to get ahead of the narrative, or, you know what, turn the lights out at 5:15 p.m. in America. Folks, if we don't get on top of this, if we do not do something about this, our country is finished. Our country as a constitutional republic is over. In Pennsylvania has really gone for Donald Trump. Biden needs 75% of the remaining votes to overcome the Trump lead. That was at 7 o'clock. Now he needs, roughly, now he needs lower percentage because, of course, they're whittling that lead down. All right. So can you see what's happening? I hope I explained that well. The bottom line is, this is not normal. Nothing that you're seeing right now is normal. Nothing about this is normal. I want you, can I say that again? Nothing about this is normal. This is not normal, and it's not possible what we are seeing take place. And if we don't get out in front of this now, today, and I mean today, have lawyers, have poll watchers, have injunctions, then turn out the lights. Then we're done as a nation, because we will have turned into a banana republic. They told you what they were going to do with the mail-in ballots. That happened. We allowed it. We're playing by the rules. The rules are changed. Okay, we'll play by the rules. This is what happens when you play by the rules of the dictators, the fascists that are the Pelosi's and the Schumers and the Tom Wolfes of Pennsylvania. What a wolf he is. This is what happens. Folks, I'm telling you right now, it's game on or it's game over. I have a lot more to get into. By the way, I'm going to be on Wisconsin Christian News Television today. Patreon meeting at 7 o'clock as well. And then in between, I have some things going on. It's a busy day all around. Dr. Richard Proctor, provisinstitute.com, provisinstitute.com. Folks, by Saving the Constitution before it's too late, read it. If more people had read Saving the Constitution, maybe we wouldn't be in this pickle. If you would have bothered to spend $20 on a book, maybe we wouldn't be in this jam that we're in. Maybe if you would have bothered to vote, maybe we wouldn't be in this jam, in this loss of the republic. I can hear the woman saying, well, Mr. Franklin, we couldn't keep it. Dr. Proctor, welcome.
To follow that.
I'm sorry?
I don't know how to follow what you've just been doing. It's well said. It's complete. What more is there to do or say?
Well, you know what? You don't have to follow. We can let's just get into whatever you wanted to get into today, because I got to tell you, it's I've been looking at the returns all night. There's two paths to, or really there's one path to victory. President Trump takes any two of the following: Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada, or Michigan, and he could win. And by the way, Georgia should be called. I don't know why they're not calling this. Where are we at constitutionally with this? Where in the hell in the Constitution is mail-in voting? I mean, can you tell me?
Nope, it's not there. It's not there. Actually, there's no place in the Constitution that calls for popular voting either. We are a republic. There's no place in the Constitution that says every man votes for the president. Not one place. Nothing in the Constitution is being followed. Absolutely nothing. And if we were, we wouldn't be losing our country today. I did say we wouldn't be losing it, didn't I? I didn't say maybe we're losing it. I said we wouldn't be losing it.
Interesting.
The Constitution provides for means to get president elections without this garbage. And we haven't done it for over 204 years. This country's only 296, about 212 years old, and we haven't elected a president properly for 204 of them. That means we only did it 3 times. Washington twice and Adams once. That's all. Every other election has been unconstitutional, and we get no closer to it. And now we're getting further away. Now we're turning into a tyrant organization. And the 20th Amendment is sitting back. If he said 2 before he could declare, but I believe that if he declares or decides before they're all in, that it will be contested, that everybody didn't get to vote and everybody didn't get their opportunity. Therefore, it isn't a valid election. And they will not they will say it is not qualified. And on January the 20th, Congress will take over and put whoever they want in, however they want to put them in, whether they've run for office or not.
Which is, again, we had talked about this before, folks. If you haven't done so, go back and listen to Dr. Proctor on this program. In fact, I'll attempt to link the program that we talked about, the 20th Amendment. You're correct. Although that's constitutional, that also could be very fatal to the country, given the composition of our House of Representatives.
Yes, and what might happen in the Senate? You know, we may have a Republican majority, but that doesn't mean the rhinos are going to stand with it.
Right. Yeah, we have a 1-member majority. And this is from years and decades and centuries of apathy, really. And I'm sorry. No, you know what? I'm not sorry. And people saying, well, I'll just pray about it. So there you go. Keep praying.
Here's a little philosophy. Let's think back for a moment. We've been in this country now for 212 years since ratification of the Constitution. Now, almost nobody today knows anything that it says, nor do they care. But think about this for a moment. All these people coming together to vote for Democratic Party, who are they? Mostly they're going to be illegals who are voting anyway in many states. They don't have citizenship, but they vote anyway because those states allow it. Where have we gone so wrong that we allow those kinds of things? Why do we keep electing incumbents that will destroy our country? Why is it that team of whoever, whatever we want to call them, the AOC team or whatever it is, those people are elected again? They are obviously destroyers of this country. Why is that group of people in New York voting for them? Why? And you know, when the When the Constitution was ratified, the only real people who were voting at that time were landowners, property owners. It wasn't everybody. It wasn't every person, every Tom, Dick, and Harry. It wasn't anybody who's 16 or whatever age. It was people who had skin in the game. Now, where are we today? Because we all wanted to say, well, whether we're landowners or not, we ought to be able to vote. So that meant renters and people who lived, who squatted in the yard. They all got to vote. Now, those people that are squatting in the yard, those people don't have any income, but our government decided in the 30s to give them an income. So now they've discovered that they can get an income, and in many states, more than they can get for working. If you go to work, you'll make less than you'll make from the government in many states. Hawaii leads the list. So here, now we have a group of people who want to have these people in because it'll give them a paycheck, and they don't care about the country itself. And the illegals keep coming in and swarming in, and they don't care about it, but they want a paycheck too. They want welfare stuff. What we have turned in is we've turned into a country of giving for nothing, and they're taking everything away from us because we did that. We went that direction. Now think about that for a moment. Where did we begin to allow anybody in the world almost, to vote in our elections? Where did we get to the point where the media are liars and cheats and thieves? You know, it's the media that's pushing this COVID-19, and it's a lie. It's a complete lie. You know, I've said since this week, last week, when I first mentioned this, and then mentioned it again on John Wells' program, I have sent hundreds of copies of the lie out to people. And every time I say to them, send it far and wide. Everybody needs to know. Now I have people overseas wanting to get this information. It's a complete, total lie. What's going on? Why do we give into it? When did we begin to allow our freedoms, our rights, and our country to be destroyed? And we begin to allow that when we discover that the voters don't vote. Oh, we'll pray about it? No. Pray isn't the key. Works is the key. Do something. Pray is good, but God expects work. He expects action. He expects people to do that. It's hypocrisy to pray and not do anything. That's hypocrisy.
Amen.
Oh, yeah, Lord, you just take care of me. I don't need to do anything. I know you'll just do it. No, he won't.
No, I'm not supposed to be in the world or of the world, right. Okay. And of course you've got the other side too, who are actually attempting to lead us into the slaughterhouse. I don't know how else to say that, but that's pretty much it. So you're right. But I guess that was a rhetorical question, so I'm going to shut up.
Okay. Now think about this. Think about this for a moment. Many of the Protestant faiths believe in the rapture. Am I not correct?
Do
you think hypocrites? Do you think people who won't do anything, who won't further the Lord's work, are going to be a part of that rapture, or the part that's left back? The people in the rapture will be those who are participating with the Lord in his direction.
Right.
Those that aren't participating are hypocrites, and they'll be left here and won't have that rapture experience.
Well,
think about that for a moment, all you people that Doug's been talking about that don't vote and don't participate and don't do anything, but expect God to save you. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. God expects us to champion his causes. He expects us to follow his direction. He expects something of us. Those who sit around and wait for a welfare check, free load, that's not how God works. God doesn't do a free load. God expects obedience. He expects support. He expects us to be a part of his team. He expects us to follow on his direction. This Constitution is an inspired document. I point out how the Revolutionary War was a war won by God for us in the 1700s. Won by God for us. People did do it, of course, But oh, did he step in and help over and over and over again. But he did that because we were doing our part. If we hadn't been doing our part, he would have done nothing at all. That's being played out today. We sit back and say, oh, I hope we're righteous enough. Righteous enough means participating in God's plan. And God's plan is for this nation to survive. But if we won't participate in that survival, how can we expect him to do his part? Folks, don't sit on your laurels. This book, Saving the Constitution, its title is exactly right. And you can't save what you don't know. And you don't know it if you haven't read this book. There is no place else you can learn this material. There is no other course, no other book, no other place. And even though I've said that over and over and over again for a year and a half, not one person has brought something up to say I'm wrong. Not one person for a year and a half has contradicted me on that statement. There is no other book. There is no course. Every time I find one, I find that it is not teaching the Constitution, it's teaching the Supreme Court Constitution, which, by the way, isn't the right one. They have no authority to do anything that they do with the Constitution. Their jurisdiction does not include that. Therefore, no one should be teaching it, but we all are. Well, I'm not. I went back to the Constitution as it was written. I went back to the intent of the fathers. I should show you sometime the books that I use as my source. I couldn't put, if I stood them up on the table here, you wouldn't see me. You'd only see the books. They're 8.5 by 11 inches, not 6 by 9, like the Saving the Constitution book. They're they're letter-sized books, 8.5 by 11. They're 2 columns, small print, about 2 inches thick each. There are 5 of them. You get the idea?
Oh, yeah.
That's the source I use to find what happened in the convention. And it's there. And I read it. Well, I don't read it cover to cover. I read subjects. Cover to cover is a huge task. Talk about a tome. I think this would be about 6,000 pages. That's my guess. If you put it out in a 6 by 9, it might be as many as 12,000 pages. So you look it up by subject, and it's all written by subject. Folks, the Constitution was inspired by God. One of the things that indicate absolutely perfectly that it was inspired is the Electoral College, which we threw out the window in just 6 years. The Electoral College was an inspired item that had never existed before that date. Never was that kind of a program instituted in any government in the world until that date. So did they make it up out of whole cloth? Did they think of it by themselves? No. Brigham, it was Benjamin Franklin who says, how can we expect a nation to rise up when he looks after the sparrows? How can we expect him to look after a nation if we don't pray and we don't listen to him? And he was absolutely right. It's a republic if you can keep it. And in 12 years, we threw one of the most important parts away. 6 years. We threw one of the most important parts away. Gone. 1796 was the date. Terrible. Now we're wringing our hands over what can we do about the president? How can we have a good president? Oh, it was all written down once. Oh, it still is written down. It still is written down, but you won't find it anywhere, in any school, in any place, in any spot. Any place. Even the people that are fighting against the popular vote to eliminate the Electoral College, even those people do not know what the Constitution says about electing the president. I know because I've talked to some of those orators. Oh, they talk well. They do a good job. They do encourage us to keep the Electoral College, but they do not know what it does. And I went up to try to talk to one of them, and he wouldn't listen, told me to get out of his face. Well, so I did.
The Electoral College is playing the role here. As of noon today, you've got Biden with let's see, where did I just see that here? 227 electors to President Trump's 213. And again, the path to victory, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show. But
I'm sorry, but that's not the Electoral College at all. That's some bastard that we put together.
Explain that, if you don't mind.
Well,
again,
let me explain the Electoral College.
Okay.
Again, I will do that again. Easily understood. This is what the Electoral College is. You have one person for each representative and senator who is one of the Electoral College. They meet in the state in which they reside. They select two people. The Constitution says vote, nominate, or select are the words we would use in our vocabulary today. They select two people. One can be in the state and one must be out of the state. I assume both can be out of the state, but both can't be in the state. Then those votes, nominations, selections are tallied and sent to the Congress, to the President Pro Tem of the Senate, under a seal by the Secretary of State of each state. It arrives there sealed. They open it up. They break the seal in the presence of the House and the Senate. The whole group, they break the seal and begin to count selections, votes, or nominations. Sarah got 4, Mike got 5, Jim got 15, Mike got 100,000. So Mike wins the election. Did Mike even know he was up for it? No, he did not. He did not know. 100,000 votes, selections, nominations came for him from the Electoral College. That's what they do. They select people who are statesmen, who will do a good job, who do meet the qualifications. So we won't have one of these Harris-Obama deals who aren't even citizens of the United States.
Thank you.
Even being considered. We don't have any of that garbage. Lee Iacocca was approached by the Republican Party to be a part of the presidency. He was not approached by the Electoral College. Had he been approached by the Electoral College, he would have said yes. But he was approached by the Republican Party and he says, I'm not going to put up with that garbage. I don't have to put myself through that. And he wouldn't do it. And we lost a statesman that could have helped our country immensely. But we seem to think that we're smarter than the Lord. We're smarter than the inspiration of the founding fathers. We're just smarter than everybody. So look what we've done. We've turned into a circus, a trashy circus. We don't elect a president anymore. The Council of Foreign Relations, the CFR, and the Pratt House of New York sits up and says, who shall we select for the people to vote for? We will select them. They can choose out of who we select. Well, the Democrat Party, they went to them. They're all selected by them. Republican Party, all but one in 2016, all but one they selected. And it just so happened the one they didn't select won. How about that? We got a statesman. We got somebody that represents us. How about that? And all the Democrat Communist Party has done for the last 4 years is try to tear him down. They have done nothing for the country. They've just tried to tear him down. All the media has done for the last 4 years is try to tear down the only president we the people ever selected since Adams.
Wow.
That's all they've done. And we sit around with our thumb up our nose and do nothing about it.
There you have it, folks. The righteous indignation of Richard Proctor, ProvisInstitute.com, Saving the Constitution. I don't think it's too late necessarily. We're going to need an American reset today.
Doug, if the people of this country were interested in saving the Constitution, they would buy this book today.
Yes, I agree.
They would buy it today. I can have 100,000 copies printed before the month's out and get it in their hands.
Yep.
Okay? They would buy it today. By the way, that's not enough copies. I just used that as an example. They would buy it today. It's in every bookstore in the country. We're not looking for only one place. I have 3 sites you can go to get it. Yes. Okay. I recommend you go to the one that doesn't charge any taxes, that works directly with us, provistinstitute.com. But folks, get a copy of this book. It is the only book in the country that will teach you what the guys wrote originally. And if you'll learn that and then get off your duffs, turn off that television set and go do something in this nation, we could save it even after we lose it with this election, if we do.
Very good point. And I don't mean to interrupt you at this point, but that's a very good point, because when I was watching, and I had in my office, I had MSNBC, Fox, and by the way, Fox is just as much garbage. I've heard as much garbage out of Fox than I did as MSNBC, and I had the War Room with Bannon on one computer monitor, and I had this book in my hand, and the only one that came closest to this book was Bannon. But having said that, what I heard everywhere nothing comported with what was with what is in this book, and that goes back to what you said earlier about the Electoral College and how our presidents are selected. Folks, saving the Constitution, Provost Institute, you're going to get a real education, believe me. I wanted to yell at I stopped yelling at the TV screens. I wanted to yell at the War Room when it was on until I think it was 2:30, saying, hey. In fact, I'm going to send Steve Bannon a copy of this book, but you're right.
Oh, you guys, we are so far outfield. No course even teaches how the Constitution says to select the president. Nobody teaches it. Nobody knows it. I'm not going to say nobody knows it. People that have read my book and understood it know it.
Yep.
I know it. Doug knows it. We might have finished the list. We might have finished the list. Folks, I talk to people all the time who say they're scholars of the Constitution, and I ask them questions and they can't answer them, or they hem and they haw until I tell them something and they agree. Folks, you can't find a book that'll teach this information. You cannot find one. And the fact that we have the election process we have indicates 100% that it's an inspired by the Lord document.
Yes. Because
that system never existed in any other place until that Constitution was written in 1787. It's the only place it's ever been written down. And it's a proper system of selecting presidents in a republic. But we don't stand up and say that anyway. Now I pledge allegiance to the flag of the democracy.
Yeah.
Of the tyranny of America.
Yes.
One of those words. Not republic. That's a hypocrite now. Of the tyranny or the communist or the democracy.
Everyone calls it a democracy. Save our democracy. Protect our. We're watching democracy at work. What a bunch of crap.
Yeah, it's a garbage. What we're watching is the people that have been elected to the House, that are in control of the House now, are by and large criminals. Wolves in sheep's clothing. They don't even pretend like they're going to hold their arm up and swear to the Constitution. Oh, they'll do that, but they don't even pretend. They laugh at it when they put it down. And immediately, 1 second later, they're destroying the country. This idea of using the 20th Amendment as a constitutional election, yeah, it is. It's there because Norris, who was a guy who wanted to destroy this country during his entire reign, and I use the word reign correctly, during his entire period, Senate and House, wanted to destroy this country, wanted to destroy Electoral College, wanted to do. So he wrote in Section 3 the way to do it. He hid in Section 3 of the 20th Amendment the way to do it. And now they're acting it out, and we're sitting on the sidelines. Yay, 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 boy, President got more votes. He got some votes. He got some votes. Oh, yay, yay, yay. No, the day this election's not over till January the 20th. And you may not even know who Congress selects to put in that place or the way they select them. And that pattern will be established for the next 4 years. Think about that, folks. And maybe because of that pattern being followed, there will not be another election for president after 2020. Because we sat on our butts and did nothing. We don't even want to learn about it. I should have just thrown it away when I wrote it for all the good it's done. Oh, it's helped a lot of people. I shouldn't say that. It just hasn't reached out to the people who need it because they don't care. They don't know they need it. They don't want to know they need it. It's Christmas time coming up, folks. I expect 100,000 copies to be given to people as Christmas presents.
That'll be the best investment you can make.
You better start ordering it now, because if it comes too fast, we'll take care of them. We'll take care of them. If I have to hire a company to distribute them, we'll take care of them.
See, and Dr. Proctor, it excuses the diversion just for a moment. It is the people who say, I don't need this crap. I don't quit selling your books. All you do is sell books. Well, let me tell you something. Inside that book is knowledge. And what you do with that knowledge can save our country, can save our republic, save our Constitution. And if you quit being so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good, and yes, that's a thing, or if you fix your cranial rectal inversion, you will, look, get your head out of your collective asses. And yes, if not to my audience, I mean, to those who, happen upon this and say, well, all you do is sell books. You know what? Yeah. Knowledge, understand what we are going through. But you can't, because you know what I found? I found this very interesting. I found there was a discussion I watched last night about naked ballots, okay? You have to know what a naked ballot is. Raise your hands if you know what a naked ballot is, okay? I'm not saying it's in the Constitution, but okay, well, you have to know what one is in order to have a cogent discussion about it. So if you're going to talk constitutional amendments, constitutional electors, and so on, you have to know what they are. So that's what's in this book. And that's, I'm done preaching. Go ahead, sir.
I wish you'd have defined what a naked ballot is. I don't understand that term.
A naked ballot is simply a ballot. It's a two-fold or a two-envelope system, two-fold envelope system. One, you put the ballot in a secrecy envelope, then in another envelope, and that's the naked ballot is a ballot without the secrecy envelope.
And the secrecy, they call them steamers now. They call them steamers. They take the secrecy ballot, they steam it open, put their own ballot in, seal it back up again, and send it in.
Yeah.
They call them steamers. They have to work really fast, get a lot of them going.
Yes.
Sacred, so sacred? Oh, I thought about this the other day. Someone said it to me, and I've been thinking about it since. I voted mail-in, okay? I don't have any idea if my ballot was counted. I don't have any idea if it was even delivered. I have no idea. I don't know. I've been doing mail-in ballots for years. I did absentee ballots before that. I don't know if I've ever had a vote counted, except when I actually went to a spot and did it. And then I'm not sure, because the machines are now fixed. It's not who votes, it's who counts them.
Absolutely. There you go.
That's a Joseph Stalin phrase, by the way.
Yep.
It's not who votes, it's who counts them.
You're 100%.
And folks, we have allowed our system to be destroyed. Oh, technology. Oh, we'll fix it. We'll just do it with computers. That helps. Oh boy, that really helps. Except the programmers program computers to do whatever they want. And if you think the programmers are all honest, I've got a bridge to sell you somewhere in Brooklyn. I've got a swamp down in Louisiana that I got for sale, really cheap. Folks, programmers program what they want. And then they say, then the people who get the program say, well, it's in the program, I can't change it. What a bunch of garbage. You know, I had a company once I organized. I was selling computers and installing them and getting programs written for people, businesses. Okay, so I would send in an order to the programmers, and they would send me back a perfect program, and I checked it. And I said, it's not right. You didn't do it right. Oh, I did too. It's right. No, it is not right. Yes, it is. Well, go to this spot and do this. Oh, it isn't right. It doesn't work. Oh, I'll change it. Never did I get a program that was correct until I ran it myself and sent it back to them to fix it. Never did I get a correct program. So my clients would have all gotten garbage if I hadn't done that. Now think about that. Programmers do not check their work. They write patterns and call it correct, but they don't test it. That's why whenever you get a new Windows thing, it's all screwed up until they get all the testing done by you and I. I don't buy new ones. I always buy later ones because they've been fixed.
Right.
And programmers never check their work. So don't tell me that it's in the program, can't be changed. Oh, we can't do anything about it. It's in the program. Well, when we put our votes in there, how do we know that the programmer didn't say, no matter what buttons pushed, vote for this one? Every button goes to this one. Every button goes to this one. How do we know that didn't happen?
We don't.
But all the programmers do. They know what they did. And if they're a part of the team of the Democrat Communist Party, if they're a part of that team, then they wrote what they wanted in there and didn't tell anybody. I remember hearing stories about people voting for Trump it wasn't Trump. I remember them voting for, and Obama's was the one that it actually voted for over and over and over again. Every button they pushed voted for Obama. So that wasn't a Trump deal.
It was
somebody else.
Man, I'll tell you what, I'm wiped out. So yeah, exactly. Somebody else.
But you don't know that didn't go on this time. I mean, I'm hard pressed to believe that this nation is so wrong that it's voting for a nincompoop and a non-citizen. I have trouble believing that. I think our nation is smarter than that. I think even the people on welfare are smarter than that. Voting for a nincompoop and a non-citizen, do you think you're going to get benefit from those people? But you know what the sequence could be, since you're voting for a nincompoop, which can't say a complete sentence properly. You're all voting for him. Oh, we want a guy who can't say a complete sentence properly. Now, we wouldn't take a guy who couldn't spell potato. That was absolutely horrid. But now we're getting ready to elect a guy who can't even talk. Okay?
Don't worry, he won't be in there long.
They're going to call him 25th Amendment incompetent, and it will be right. Then the other one, who's not a citizen, will take over and appoint somebody else who she likes, and that's how it'll work, folks. That's how it will be done. And before long, we won't have any representation anywhere. You know, I sat down and wrote a science fiction book. If I sat down and wrote a science fiction book, a horror science fiction book about elections, I couldn't have written this one. I couldn't have thought of this to be such a horror. I would never even have occurred to me until I saw what was going on this election year and what we've been led up to believe, what's been going on before this. Boy, the sequence has just gotten worse and worse and worse. More and more fraud every time. And everybody says, oh, there's no fraud. Oh, there's no fraud. Oh, there's no fraud. And it's rampant. But we don't fix it, do we? We don't insist. We, the people, don't insist that it be fixed. The Declaration of Independence says if the government doesn't do it right, you're obligated to alter it or abolish it. It's time. The problem is that you didn't do it in a peaceful manner. Now it will require guns. And we're to that point.
I'm afraid you're right.
Blood will spill. It's being spilled already.
Yes.
But it will spill. Let me see. It was on the David Knight show this last Friday. Last Friday? No, the Friday before. I don't know. Maybe it was on your show, Doug. Anyway, they showed clips at the beginning of the show. Hosted. I think it was David Knight. Showed clips, but it might have been you, Doug. And these clips showed people with guns on their holsters arguing.
Yeah.
That was yours, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so here we have guns in holsters arguing. Today, the guns won't be in their holsters anymore because Biden didn't get elected or because Biden did get elected. Somebody's, either way, is going to have their gun out of their holster and it won't have blanks. But we've already had that. We've already had shooting in the streets in Seattle. We've already had shooting in the streets in Oregon. We've probably had shooting in the streets in more places than that.
Kenosha.
It's common now. And
Sure.
we don't have any militias to protect ourselves. We always say, oh, we got to have the Second Amendment. We've got to have the Second Amendment. We're going to go by the Second Amendment. Yes, sir, the Second Amendment is important. We're going to go by the Second over and over and over and over and over again. They say the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia is necessary for the security of Iowa. But Iowa doesn't have a well-regulated militia, so they're not reading the Second Amendment. I only just picked on Iowa because it came to my mind.
Sure.
Could have been Idaho, could have been Kentucky, could have been Tennessee. It is Utah. Okay? Yeah, we harp on the Second Amendment, but we don't read anything but the last phrase. Let's get busy and read the first phrase this time. Biden criticized Trump in one of the debates for not coming down on militias. Why are you supporting militias? Well, he's supporting them, if he is supporting them, because they're in the Constitution.
Yeah.
I'll be darned. Isn't that a surprise? And the federal government's supposed to arm them. That's Article 1, Section 8, Paragraph 16. The federal government is supposed to provide the guns to the militia. And the militia, by definition in 1828, which is when these guys wrote it, is every able-bodied man.
Now they're going to be outlawed. Or, now if things go the way the deep state operation intends, guns and militias will no longer be even applicable.
Right? They'll be outlawed.
Right.
And they'll actually arrest them, incarcerate people. They let all the criminals go for the COVID garbage, which is a lie. Anyway, they'll let them go for that. And now they're filling them up with honest citizens. And Canada is building isolation camps and intend to start filling them before this year's over. And I just got a document from my credit union here that said we're closing the offices, the branches for people. We're closing them down because of the rise up in COVID. There is no rise up in COVID. It's lies. All they're doing is saying there is one, and the media is saying it, and the government's regurgitating the media's lie, or the other way around. There isn't any of it. But the government's still planning to put people in isolation camps indefinitely. If they won't take the inoculation, they won't agree to the debt reset. The debt reset's a whole nother subject. I got some information from the Strategic Planning Committee of Canada. The Canadians are in for a debt reset. The world's in for a debt reset, but the Canadians are going to enforce it. They say, if you won't accept the debt reset, we'll put you in an isolation camp indefinitely. That's their plan. the Strategic Planning Committee. I got the information. I don't know how come I did, but I did. If Canada does it, you can be sure we're right behind them. And we already have the camps. They're called FEMA camps, to give them a new name. In other countries, they're called concentration camps. And don't say it never happened in America. It did in World War II. Just as the war started, all the Japanese people were rounded up and put in concentration camps. At least they were well treated. But don't count on that this time.
That's right.
So it does happen in America.
Sure.
Folks, we're sitting back thinking the world's okay. All is well. No problem. We'll be blessed. We're righteous people. We don't do anything, but that's not necessary to be righteous. We're righteous people. Therefore, we're safe.
Folks, saving the Constitution, go to provinceinstitute.com. I don't know if it's too late. I don't think it is.
No,
it's not.
It's never too late till the last person who wants it is dead.
There it is.
I didn't say is slowed down. I said dead.
Yep.
It's never too late till that person's dead. Because that person might be able to recruit enough people to wake up and do something. I've written the Bible for this country. It isn't a Bible, it's saving the Constitution. But it is the Constitution, which is inspired document and should be in the Bible right after the book of Revelations.
It really is the Bible of the Constitution. I mean, constitutional concordance, maybe. I don't know, but you're right.
The constitutional concordance would be correct for the book of the Constitution right after Revelations, 28th book in the New Testament.
Right.
Because this can be in the New Testament, because it's pretty new. This Constitution wasn't until 1788 ratified, and so therefore that's pretty new. So you can't call it an Old Testament book.
Correct. Which
and chronologically, it's got to be after Revelations, because that's written a long time ago.
How it's in this book. If I can ask you this, let me just make sure. How are electors picked? Because you've got Hillary Clinton as an elector for the state of New York. You've got Feinstein's daughter, I think, or son, an electorate in California. How are they selected, or how are they supposed to be selected?
Paragraph 2 of Section 1, Article 2.
There, I knew it was in there.
Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of legislatures equal to the whole number of senators and representatives. It does not tell anybody how to do it. You could do it by lottery, you could do it by voting, you can do it by appointment, you can do it by volunteer, you can do however you want. Okay. Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct. It does not say each political party, by the way. It says state. Doesn't say Washington, D.C. either. Doesn't say city, doesn't say territory. It says state. There are 50 of them. Now, there's a lot of hogwash and argument of whether this one is this or that. There are 50 states in our country. Quit trying to just pin down little things and make them big. There are 50 states in our country. Every state should appoint in such manner as the legislature says a number equal to the number of representative senators, and they call them the Electoral College, and they meet in their state. Paragraph 2, the electors shall meet in their respective states. The electors shall meet in their states. Paragraph 3, Section 1, Paragraph 3, first 9 words. Then it says, and vote for by ballot for 2 persons. You know, that's really not too difficult to read, is it? Did anybody misunderstand those 15 words I just read?
No.
It isn't too difficult. Why don't we do it? It isn't like some of these negative books that says, it messes it all up with words that are 40 syllables. Anti-disestablishmentarianism isn't in there. Okay?
So
supercalifragilisticexpialidocious isn't in there either. It's simple words.
Simple.
The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for 2 persons. Not a hard word in there. Not a hard sentence structure. Not a difficult phrase. Of whom one at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. Not tough to do it, is it? That's not tough reading.
You were right when you said the system's been bastardized. You were absolutely correct.
And we're never taught those words I just read. Never, never, never in any constitutional class, in any constitutional course, in any place that teaches the Constitution. We are not taught those words I just read.
No. And I took classes on the Constitution. I've never heard that.
That's right. Never, never, never.
Yep.
And it is Section 1, Paragraph 3.
Yep.
And it has little quotes around that the 12th Amendment changed it. No, it didn't. I'll go to the 12th Amendment. Let's do that, because sometimes people get things mixed up. By the way, the 12th Amendment is not an amendment we should keep, but for the moment, let's do it. 12th Amendment, first words. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for president and vice president. That's the change. That's why it's not constitutional. That's the contract change. Therefore, Black's Law Dictionary throws that out as null and void, per James Marshall of the Supreme Court in 1803, when he said anything against the Constitution is null and void. He said it. I didn't. He did.
Right.
Anyway, there it is. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot. That's not hard to read, and that's in the 12th Amendment. But we don't do it, do we? And we've never done it, and there's nothing ever changed it. Except the political parties who wanted control.
That's right.
And then starting a little later on, the Illuminati that wanted control. And so they took control of the political parties, and they now act as the Electoral College. And they meet and select who they will approve for president. And we, the sheep, run along and vote for the people they approve. And you can be sure that every Democratic candidate was approved by the Electoral College of Pratt House in New York City.
There you go. And folks, to understand that, obviously saving the Constitution, I really ask you to purchase your copy today. Do it, please. And for extra credit, and I mean this sincerely, to understand how all of this kind of integrates together, the Liberty series is extremely important to add to that collection. Saving the Constitution, folks. Just as soon as this is done, right now, here, go to provisinstitute.com. That's Provis. It's in the link in the program description box at hagmanreport.com. provisinstitute.com. Order Saving the Constitution, Liberty series, Bathroom Economics. All the books there are fabulous. But do it today.
By the way, if you care for your children and their knowledge about the Constitution, get one for them and give it to them for Christmas, and give them a requirement to report to you when they read each chapter.
There you go. Richard Proctor, provisinstitute.com. I'm going to be talking more and more and more about saving the Constitution. I have a feeling throughout the week. I have a TV engagement. I appreciate your time, and I apologize for the fact that our time is cut short. May God bless you. Thank you for writing this wonderful book, Saving the Constitution, the Liberty series. Go to provisinstitute.com. I appreciate you, sir. And
have a good day. See you next week.
All right, sir.
We will gather again.
All right. God bless. That was Richard Proctor, folks, provisinstitute.com. provisinstitute.com. Coming up, Pastor David Langford.